Hello and welcome to another edition of What Women Want Online. We are coming to you from the Social House today. And they say in a crisis you can either cry or you can make some napkins and sell them. Today we are talking about the low-touch economy and how it is the reality of now, whether it's artificial intelligence or vending machines or remote therapy. We are privileged to be joined by Beth Muthui, the Vice President of Consumer Banking of SBM Bank. Remember, these conversations are brought to you by SBM Bank. Thanks, Beth, for being with us today. Of course, we know that you have a big passion for supporting women in business, and you're very, very supportive of the industry as well. But we are talking about low-touch economies today, and I want you to elaborate on what that is, what that means.
Okay, thank you, Pinky. Thank you for having me here today. So low-touch economy. Pinky, that is the current state of our economy.
Wow.
It's the current state of our economy, characterized by very low-touch interactions and obviously permanently altered by COVID.
Absolutely.
And so what are we observing? We're observing that people are interacting less. There's a raft of health and safety measures. Consumer behavior has changed and the industry has shifted dramatically.
And how is this going to affect our youth?
Oh, wow. So just to give context perspective, I mean, Kenya, 79.9% of the country is actually the youth. So we are talking literally about the whole country.
Right.
Our interactions have to be low-touch interactions. The youth also have to follow suit. So from the professional perspective, how you work is going to change. It's got to be space between people. From the social perspective, how you dine, how you date, how you engage, how you play is different. It's got to be remote. It's got to be contactless. So the entire country, as it were, has to go towards a low-touch kind of environment.
Goodness me. Beth, do you remember when you could just kiss a stranger?
Oh my God.
Gone are those days, right?
Or hug a stranger.
Or yeah.
Oh, well, a friend.
Or even hug your friend.
It cannot happen. Every time somebody comes towards you,
Yeah.
you have to think, what should
I know,
do?
even
Should
when I met
greet
you this
Should
morning, I'm like, are you hugging?
Yeah.
So how do we adapt to this new normal and, you know, this new normal that's affected not only the Kenyan economy, but economies around the globe?
It's first to accept where we are, Pinky.
Okay.
You have to accept that the world as you knew it has changed. You also have to realize that people are not going to participate in an economy unless they feel safe.
Right.
And so if you're in business, you have to reassure your customers about your health and safety measures. At work, likewise, you have to be able to make your employees feel safe. That is the only way we can adapt to this new world and take a long-term horizon to this, that things are not going to change, not at least in the next 1 to 2 years.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So what sort of business models can we copy so as to make our businesses survive?
So there's a couple of ideas I have and thoughts to share, having read widely about it. The first thing is what I mentioned earlier, that you have to make sure that your business model has low-touch interactions to the point that you reduce the customer touch points but still deliver the service seamlessly. So that's the first one.
Right.
Associated with that is that you have to be able to increase your health and safety protocols to the point that then if you're coming to a restaurant such as the Social House, from the beginning people are observing the temperature checks. Are they happening? Are you sanitizing?
Yes.
How are the people serving you dressed? And so for every business, now more than ever before, you have to be able to increase your ante as regards health and safety measures.
Okay.
So that's the third one is that you have to be able to work within the hours that we've been given. I mean, in a lockdown situation where you're having 8 hours to work, you have to adjust your working hours. And so you find a lot of restaurants writing to you and saying, now we are open between 8 and 4 p.m.
Yes.
And so you make the most out of those 8 hours within the day. Beyond that is that you should be able to just scan the environment for consumer behavior. Where do consumers want to interact? So if they want to interact online, you have to make sure that you're on the online marketplaces so that people can buy from you, so that then they can be able to get their home deliveries going.
Yes.
And so online is no longer an option. As you've observed, there's a whole e-commerce explosion.
It's a boom, yeah.
It's a boom, just really to support what is happening, the contactless environment. And so if you're a business, this is a time to virtualize.
So can you give us some examples? I know you had some great examples of, businesses that have just shifted online.
Yeah, so the example I like is the one that is very close to me and nearest to me. So the shop that I take my clothes to get laundered just sent a message and said, you know what, we are closed.
That's it.
And then while I was having a conversation with my colleague, he said to me, you know what, White Rose have an app. And this app then facilitates the ability to come and collect your laundry and drop it off home. And quickly I switched.
Goodness.
And so this is a business that was agile enough to be able to read the environment and respond very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I really like that. The other international example I have is Emirates Online. I mean, I've been looking at what it is that they're doing. Number one, the rapid testing for every person going in. That should be interesting to watch. And secondly, I did share with you earlier that they're looking to have a model where there is space between one passenger and the other, to the point that then there's hardly any contact between the two passengers seated next to each other. And finally, even their food packaging is going to change to the point that then they're able to be responsive to the health and safety measures that they have to adhere to. So there's lots of examples. This is a time to watch, learn, and copy.
And how is SBM supporting businesses at this time?
So SBM has been at the excuse me.
That's fine.
Has been at the front line of supporting businesses now more than ever before. Number one, to be able to respond to the strained cash flows. And so for that reason, we are rescheduling a lot of loans. Up to 6 months, you can be able to get moratorium on principal and interest up to 6 months.
Okay.
If you have a personal loan and of course your income is subdued because of the situation we are in, we are able to give you a moratorium on principal and interest. We are able to reschedule your loan by a further 12 months so that then your interest repayments, principal and interest repayments are reduced. And finally, we continue to lend to the SMEs, and especially from an unsecured basis.
Wow.
And so we do have, and we actually launched the MSME unsecured business loan just a couple of days before COVID happened. And in the last 1 month, we've lent an odd 100 million to a lot of SMEs unsecured to be able to support them to navigate during this season. And so there's a lot of things happening. COVID industries, as it were, manufacturers of PPEs, we are able to actually finance them so that then they can be able to produce optimally.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what we need at this time, especially. What are the short-term impacts on consumers in the economy?
All right.
This
so
low-touch economy, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Pinky. So for consumers, obviously, consumer behavior has shifted completely. As I alluded earlier, everything has gone online.
Yes.
But more importantly is also how you deliver the product.
Right.
You have to be able to reassure your buyers that you have been able to package your product and deliver it in a safe way. I remember I visited with a friend of mine and she had this cake delivered and she says, whilst the cake is good, I don't think I'm going to buy from this place again because I didn't like the handling. And so more than ever before, consumers are looking to have their products delivered, packaged.
So packaging
is mission critical. It has to be able to give confidence as regards safety, health and safety.
In every situation, there are winners and losers.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about this low-touch economy and the winners and the losers? Who may they be?
Oh, wow. So I begin with the online marketplace owners. Jumia right now must be exploding. Shopify worldwide must be exploding because they're providing that platform for retailers to sell their goods. Secondly is retailers of essentials. If you're selling essential stuff, people are stocking up, they're piling up. So obviously there's a lot of buying that's happening. So of course you're on the right side of COVID. Digitally native brands, so you're looking at your telcos. This is the time they're selling a lot of data. This is the time everybody's trying to get their internet on. And so there's a lot of explosion happening around that space. Of course, organizations with self-serve digital platforms. What do I mean? For instance, in the banking industry, If you do not have a mobile app or internet to support your business, then you're in problem. And for the organizations that were future ready,
Yes.
to the extent that then they did have those platforms, they're smiling. Finally, home services and entertainment. I mean, there's a lot that's going on there. I mean, with a lot of time being spent at home, Netflix, Disney Plus, growth.
I didn't know there was Disney Plus.
There is Disney Plus. It's quite something.
Okay.
So there's an explosion right there. And so those are the winners. And who are the losers? Sadly, tourism, hoteliering. I'm sure you've seen some of the things that are going around. Very sad, but completely understandable under the circumstances.
Yes.
So travel, it's difficult times there. Schools that are not able to provide online learning.
Yes.
I mean, they're closed, and so nothing much happening there. Oil and gas, you've seen what has happened with the with the dropping of the oil prices, why consumption is lower. And so some world statistics reveal that demand has dropped almost by 50% for the last quarter. And so if you're in that value chain, then it's not business as usual.
And you'd think that those are the businesses, once you're in that business. Remember, we were also having this conversation before. There's certain businesses that you think, okay, if I'm in this, I will always have business. And, oil and gas, one of them. School uniforms, another one of them. Events.
The shocking one was the medical industry.
How so?
So in the beginning, when we were thinking about the winners and the losers, and we were drawing that curve, we had felt that the health industry would actually be shielded.
Yes.
But quite on the contrary, people are not going to hospitals.
People don't want
They're avoiding hospitals because they're considering hospitals as hotspots for COVID infections. And so we've seen layoffs of hospitals. That shocked me, Pinky. I didn't see that one coming.
Wow.
Yeah, so this situation is still evolving.
Of course. Yeah. So what should SMEs do in the meantime? And so
there are a couple of things that I thought about. I sort of grouped them into three thematic areas. But the first one and the most important is that you have to be able to assess the impact.
Yes.
What is the impact of COVID on my business, and just completely introspect. And at this point, I'll tell you, hard conversations have to happen. There are certain businesses that will have to completely divest from their core to something else. Yes. You have to be able to assess your cash flows, figure out what runway can you get from the existing cash flows. Yeah. And if it is not enough, what do I need to do? Do I need to borrow? Is it the right decision to borrow? Do I need to inject more equity? So you have to have good grip as to your cash flow situation, so then you can be able to plan. The second thing, which is equally important, is that you need to develop a growth strategy. You need to pick lessons from the competition. This is the time to watch competition that is winning, that is doing very well. Learn, copy and learn.
So no reinventing the wheel?
Maybe not, because if a certain business is doing very, very well, if a certain restaurant is doing very well, go and figure out what is happening and see whether you can borrow a couple of things from there. And part of growth is also how you upskill your staff, so that then they can be able to take on more duties and be more productive, and you can optimize from your workforce. So this would be a fine time, if you can afford it, to be able to just build very well-rounded staff so that they can serve you well. And also, this is a time to study your competition and ask yourself, how can I outperform competition? Yeah. Because even in a crisis such as this one, opportunity still exists in a big way.
Absolutely, and you still have competition.
You still have competition. The third one and the final one is that you need to go on the offense. You have to develop opportunity pipelines.
Wow.
So whilst perhaps you had one or two opportunities, that has to be expanded. So that then you can broaden your opportunity landscape. Develop a roadmap for growth opportunities to make your company stronger. I've seen a lot of that happening. I've seen people in the fashion industry getting onto interesting things like care packs. Survival packs. and still intertwine it with fashion.
With fashion.
So it's quite interesting. But having said that, all that is not important if you do not communicate effectively with your staff to tell them what is happening, how your business model is changing, and communicate effectively with your customers. There's a story I like to tell.
Yeah.
There's a restaurant that we frequent on Riverside Drive.
Okay.
It is always busy. What these guys have done better than anybody else is that they have sent us messages telling us about the raft of health and safety measures they have. They've told us about what time they're open. They have reminded us that they're open. There are certain restaurants from the time COVID happened, they never communicated, and so naturally, nobody is going to them.
Wow.
Yes.
So communication is key.
Communication is at the heart of this.
As a country, are we prepared for this low-touch economy?
Pinky, that's an unfair question. Because across the world, I do not think that there's any government or economy that was ready for this new world order. I think for us, it's just how we adopt learning-based agility, and that we are always innovating around our situation. But as I was thinking about Kenya in particular, I think we find ourselves in a very interesting position because first we have a very youthful population, very digitally savvy and aware, and I think we are yet to see the best of innovation. I think Kenya is a country to watch.
Yes.
In the next 3 to 6 months, I suspect we are going to see innovation coming through all industries.
Wow, that's so positive.
No, I can see it, I can feel it. I'm reading stories about people, how they're innovating.
Yes.
I mean, for instance, Pinky, look at this
I love it. Yeah. I shall wait for mine.
Yeah. This is from Vivo.
Wow.
They were able to respond very quickly.
Actually, I saw. She
very
really
good quality.
Yeah.
She turned around real quick. And here we are. And so we need to watch Kenya.
I completely agree. Yes. So what can businesses do, so that they quickly sort of adjust and adapt as we move forward?
I will keep talking about this. As far as interactions are concerned, you have to reduce the customer touch points. And so every business has to be able to look beyond the brick and mortar. They have to make sure that they have alternate channels for serving customers. Well, like in the banking industry, beyond the branches, you have to make sure that your digital platform is spot on, both from the mobile and online perspective. If it's your agency banking, it has to be spot on. So you have to operate in a multi-channel environment to be able to serve your customers. The second one is on staffing. I have observed hair salons, for instance. They are working by way of appointments. So whilst before you'd have everybody and anybody there walking in, right now you have to make an appointment. And it's working. The third one is around HR. We are aware that certain areas are riskier in terms of profiling, COVID profiling, and so you have to be able to compensate for the risk.
Okay.
That way then you motivate your staff to be able to come to work.
Absolutely.
So compensate for the risk associated with doing business. The fourth point is around personnel and safety. If you're open for business, please provide PPE for your workers so that they feel safe, from the gloves to the masks. Increase the cleaning protocol so that you make people feel safe to actually participate in the economy. Physical workspaces. And in restaurants, I mean, that has to change. There has to be literally a Chinese wall between you and the next person. And so I see a lot of spatial configuration happening in restaurants, at the workplace, so that then you're able to just maintain a good distance between you and the next person. On travel policy, I mean, you have to see how you can provide alternative transport for your staff to come to work. Because sometimes, and in certain areas, public transport is exposing the staff to risks. And so you have to think, what do I do? How do I get my staff to work? From a product perspective, spot substitutes. So if you are a gym instructor, see how you can have virtual relaxation sessions and provide them well, so that then people can sign up and feel the need to pay for it.
Exactly.
And finally, keep an eye on consumer habits. That is where the magic is. Where are consumers playing? How are they interacting? And find a way of serving them where it is that
Where they
matters
are, yeah.
the most to them.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's such an eye-opener, honestly. So what societal changes are we going to expect with the low-touch economy?
Okay, so the changes will come from the perspective of the demographics, the values, and the norms. Demographics from the perspective of a wedding,
Yeah.
a funeral. Whilst you could have a 500, a wedding with 500 people
Yes.
now, I don't think that will happen.
Who is celebrating that? The people who are spending that money. No, I'm kidding. Go on.
Values and norms. I mean, you came in thinking, should I hug you? Should I not hug
Yes,
you?
yeah.
So the rules of social interaction have completely changed. I mentioned to you earlier that I attended a wine tasting that happened virtually. Yeah. We had the best winemaker take us through an entire wine tasting session, and it was amazing. They were able to deliver.
Really?
Yes, they were. And
wow.
So a lot is happening, remote interactions, but that's the new world, Pinky.
Just before I let you go, Beth, I know you're extremely busy. There are two things that I want you to comment on. One is big data and one is artificial intelligence.
Yes. Yeah, so we were talking about that earlier. Yes. It's no longer a good to have, it's a must have.
Really? AI.
Predictive analytics is a way of the future for you to be able to anticipate consumer behavior. You need to be able to leverage on the data of your customers to know what they need so you can provide it where it matters.
Okay.
And so every business right now has to be able to have the capability to drive those two to be able to respond to the consumer needs in this contactless environment.
Goodness.
Yes.
So robots are going to be a part of our world.
I mean,
part of our
we're
future.
talking about it. I mean, robots are participating in cleaning places, sanitization.
I saw them in Rwanda in hospitals.
Yes, Rwanda is ahead of its time, and they are doing amazingly well.
In Japan, they're used as lovers.
Yeah, so Pinky, let's not go there.
I hope Kenya doesn't get there.
Well, I hope not.
Beth, thank you so much. I'm actually going to thank you twofold. One, for your time today and all your insights, and for sharing all the details that you've shared with us today. And secondly, for being such a huge supporter of What Women Want Online. This is our season finale, and I'm so glad that we're ending on such a high note with Beth. SBM Bank has been a big support of what we've been doing and contributing online. So we thank you for that. And we wish you well for the future.
Thank you very much, and likewise, Pinky, for creating this safe space where people can just learn and just get to know how to navigate through these difficult times. And as I conclude, I just wanted to say one thing, Pinky, is that we have to make low touch our long-term plan.
Wow.
Not short-term plan. You have to make low touch your current and future business model for you to be able to survive. Thank you very much, Pinky.
Thank you, Beth. Thanks for watching What Women Want Online. We'll see you again very soon. Remember, these conversations are brought to you by SBM Bank. See you soon. Bye-bye.